Hi, my name is Richard Kuklinski, and I grew up in New York. And my father used to work at the docks. And we're so hardcore poor. And one day, my father came home with a bunch of barrels, and he told me and my older brother he could no longer afford clothes because he had gambled all our clothing money away. And he told us we had to wear barrels. And that's when I started wearing barrels to school. And that's when I started my journey with kicking the shit out of people and not getting hurt because I was wearing body armor as a barrel. And of course, science. After school, for detention, we take off the barrel with Father O'Malley and scrape out the inside and then see what the fuck was in there. Okay, that wasn't as funny as it was in my mind. That's how I feel about a lot of these actors who copy Richard Kuklinski. I'm just like, you're fucking kidding me, right? You're fucking kidding me, right? Crazy shit. Page 86, Alcoholics Anonymous, we're trying to constructively review our daily reviews on full. So I haven't been doing these at night. I've had to do things like keep the heat on to get rid of the bed bugs, and my body is going through changes, put it lightly, that are grotesque, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful my body is cleaning itself out right now, but I don't want to get too much into it. It's gross, and I'm grateful. We'll put it at that. What was I gonna say? I was triggered a couple days ago, and people are really operating on my triggers too. You know, and on one hand, I guess it's a good test of who I am and my character, and is it an abusive waste of time? Yeah, more than likely. More than likely, you know, having these super high expectations. And then on another hand, you know, when I think of all the people I've known over the years who had to sit and fucking take it, whether they liked it or not, you know, it is what it, right? Like learning to just match my attitude that's appropriate. Life is very unfair. People are going to do horrible fucking shit. I have to work on how I show up. And not drinking and doing self-reflection and inventory does give us a form of x-ray vision. So, you know, I've learned to really make peace with who I was, okay? And also, you know, who I'm becoming, right? Who I'm becoming in this journey, because I spent a lot of time drinking and medicating my pain. I spent a lot of time shutting up. And I could easily do that with marijuana oil too. So I try to practice being very mindful. And of course, you know, if I go on opiates, you won't hear a shit from me. You won't hear a peep from me, but you'll see me set fires and do fucked up shit, right? So this is why I stay away from the opiates. Even if you're going to give them to me for free, I'm not touching them. And I don't want to be in a walking coma just to make, you know, predators feel better. And there's a huge underlying element systemically, where predators and their rights and asserting their rights over victims is the main agenda. And it's been very, very, you know, I mean, it was trying when I was a child, but now watching girls who went through the stuff I went through die from it, you know, being surrounded, swarmed, destroyed, right? They destroy your reputation before they fucking kill you. It's a very difficult thing to watch. When I watch girls in recovery who deserve to do well, you know, women who were victims of violence, who had children when they were young, when they were in single digits because of, you know, garden variety, alcoholic addict, early childhood sexual abuse, party problems, right? That's a very, it's not normal, it's not okay, but it was normal for a lot of people in my age group. So when I see people of the next generation kind of take that on, I get very triggered. I got very, very scared. And I saw kind of this, like, it was kind of like an NDP Patrick hybrid, like a Bishnoi Patrick hybrid the other day. And he was so dedicated. And this is what I had noticed. And I had forgotten that this superpower actually existed in me. And that now I haven't been drinking for a while and doing this self-reflection, you know, I'm a little bit better at, I'm a little more stealth at like figuring shit out. Anyways, he was so dedicated to groupthink and to peer pressure. When we were at the Dollarama, he was in front of me. I wasn't even noticing him. He actually made a point of right? And showing everyone that he was grabbing his crotch in front of, like, signaling like security at pedophile like Dollarama and like Montreal headquarters, like the security camera, like grabbing his crotch, and then he like dropped things really heavy, like in the was in the shopping cart. And I guess it was because I was saying stuff like, "This bitch better leave me alone." The bitch who attacked me in the hospital, right? Because that's what they do. That's what all this stuff has been about. Like from Dr. Gupta to this bitch here, it's all about covering this white pedophile. He was a white British pedophile. He was a Dr. Mengele. He was a doctor who was on, I guess, the board of directors at U of T. And he did some fucking shit to me. And he definitely wanted me to be his fucking side hoe project, you know? There was a fight over it, right? Like it was bad, and I don't think it was because I was particularly good. I think because men do shit like that, and they feel comfortable being very passive aggressive. Anyways, so this is still carrying on, and I'm still in debt. I'm still getting calls from debt collectors. I can't make any money, right? This medical cartel has got me fucking surrounded, and they're using Vishnoi at this point because I'm out here. And so now they can make it into the I'm the racist issue, of course. And so I observed that this man, gentleman, child in a man's body, operates on gossip. And that's another problem. People don't trust but verify. Gossip becomes intel. That's how shit turned to shit so fucking fast. And does, right? Even in the best of times when people are trying to play broken telephone appropriately. I realized that he had no idea who I was, but he was incredibly aggressive, you know, about this kind of meth head, satanic, you know, and there's that dark side, the pedophile agenda. And I was just like, this guy is so dedicated to, he doesn't even see that he all but just took out a billboard advertising what a fucking pedophile piece of shit he is. Leave it alone, right? And of course, you know, some Sikh guy is like working at the dollar store. He's like, over here, you know, like, because he can see this guy's building up to beat me up, right? And so you never know who's gonna give a shit about, like, you know, it's like we said during the communist purge, or, you know, to find out who a Nazi was, you couldn't tell if everyone was all white. And it's the same thing with this. You can't tell who's who, you know, and it's a very, very dangerous endeavor to get into that. Like I said, you know, how little you use, who your connections were. If you're all but driving an armored assault vehicle, deckled in like Diwali fucking drones and fucking, that's like some futuristic shit. That's like ancient futuristic shit. Isn't that cool? That's like Bhagavad Gita fucking punk rock shit, right? Okay. And then you're like blaring music. Yeah, screaming and yelling, and you definitely got a fucking Death to America vibe going on. Yeah, then I'm not really, it's not that I'm not going to say anything. There's just dangerous shit every day that it's more dangerous if I call it out. And it's anywhere I go, right? So it's using that discernment. But I had a good laugh about it when I came home, you know, because I felt intimidated. I felt like I had to put up like my Snoop Dogg, like, pretend I'm iced tea, like, you want to fight, you want to go, buddy? But I am turning the other cheek for now. But the first hit's yours. If you want to fight me, I'm not fighting you because you are so not worth it. And you are definitely not, like, neither of you are my type. So the fact that you've created this shit in your mind, but that's part of the game too, is that because I'm the big Wookiee in the land of the fucking Ewoks, I'm the gift that keeps giving because I can't fight back because I've been, you know, targeted as the person who does the reactive abuse, right? Not the person who is actually violent. And I feel very afraid, you know, a lot of times when I get beat up the way I got beat up. But ultimately, these are all orders from New York, right? Like, when it comes to gangs, don't ever expect that Bishnoi is going to favor Taliban or Al-Qaeda over fucking Mossad. That's just not the way. If Mossad comes in tomorrow and says to someone in Bishnoi who's connected to someone working with a medical cartel in the local hospital, fuck this bitch up for me, here's some money. Yeah, of course they're going to fucking do it. It's Canada. Duh. We're like Mexico, only we're colder. So it's shittier. But other than that, there's some cool shit here too. Really cool shit. Really cool infrastructural shit. And we always have cleaner water. Speaking of, I had the shards for a bit, but not as bad as everyone else. And that was lucky. But it did. I had that observation and I had that realization, you know, that things are not worth it. But it is kind of scary when people do want to fight you constantly because they're so dedicated to gossip and groupthink, and they're so dedicated to one-way agenda. And I have been beat up so fucking badly, and the stuff that has been done has been so atrocious. And making it into an open joke and expecting it all to go well has always backfired. It backfired in Toronto, backfired in Montreal, now it's backfiring here. And I'm just trying to do no harm, take no shit. And I'm trying to stay dedicated to that too. Let me get my coffee. Oh, so fucking gross. All these abs I'm doing, just it feels amazing. Like, it's so amazing to be able to crack my own back, my lower back, and reset my lower spine just by like squeezing my abs. But at the same time, my uterus is purging and I want to throw up. It's so disgusting. So anyways, but it's lucky too, right? Like, it's lucky that the stone in my chest is actually dissolving. I feel very lucky for that. So anyways, I came home and I was thinking about it. I was just like, yeah, he operates on peer pressure. Like, even if no one's watching, but security who isn't impressed by his bullshit, he's still that dedicated. And I remember thinking about that. I was like, I'm so lucky I don't have to do that. I'm so lucky I don't have to go back to these relationships at all. Like, this is amazing. How lucky is that, right? So turning the frown upside down, you know, and seeing the light side of things, and, you know, kind of laughing at it too. Like, you know, next time they do that, just do like, part of the intelligence network that I was exposed to in Toronto was totally gay. Like, total gay man fucking shit, right? So if a guy does that and they're trying to provoke you, just be like, ew. Do you know why AIDS is so high here in Niagara? It's because of guys like you. Here's an AIDS test, and here's a rapid test for your girlfriend. And here's some condoms. And just throw them at them. Here's some lube. Ew. Ew, please wear condoms. Please wear condoms when you're running around raping children like that, will you? I mean, I'd prefer that you don't rape children. But we used to do shit like that, and it would shame the shit out of people, right? Like, pedophiles would go running, right? We had worked on an anti-pedophile network, which was fucking hilarious in the gay community. It wasn't just the gay community. It was all over the place, and it was a fucking riot. But obviously we got shut down and told, and people were killed. Many Botherans died that day. That's kind of sad. That's true. Sorry. So, anyways, when I think about, where are we here? July 14th, a nourishing ingredient, where humility had formerly stood for forced feeding on humble pie, it now begins to mean the nourishing ingredient which can give us serenity. I realize that if I'm going to take this oil instead of taking painkillers, I need my good orderly direction. And I'm keeping Sober Faction up there because of their stance on what happened with Charlie Kirk. Because there's a lot of people in alternative religions right now who are championing the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And even though I didn't agree with him 100%, I'm not compromising there. They openly said they are not with people on what happened with Charlie Kirk, and I 100% agree. But do I need to pray and have some oil every now and then and just calm the fuck down? I don't know if this is something I want to stay in. It's not something I think I want to be doing all the time where I'm medicating feelings, right? But if I have a chance to turn it over, you know, through the discomfort, when I take the oil, it's definitely a better alternative. I prefer it, and I'd gladly pay out of pocket before getting like prescription trank dope for free. And I think if you feel more comfortable doing that, you know, investing in your health is better. I don't smoke, but, you know, and getting stuff from dispensaries too. You know, we still have to be careful. We're still very lucky that we have things that are regulated the way alcohol is regulated now. I thought that would be fucking funny. Can you imagine an ATF that included marijuana, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and weed? Or the ATFM, the ATFC. All right. So it's an inside job, right? that social acceptability does not equal recovery. I thought about it last night, how much I missed my recovery friends, and how much I realized that a lot of people weren't my friends to start with if that shit just went down and happened. And that I do miss recovery, and I'd love to go sit in the rooms. I still want to take my oil, but I still want to go back and sit in the rooms, but I don't want to go through the shit I just went through. You know, especially when it comes down to intimidating or witness intimidation around a pedophile ring, that shit has no place in the rooms. And yes, I did survive a pedophile dominated, very sexist, racist fucking 1980s growing up. And it was hell. And it did make me resilient. But I think it's okay to have better expectations of people. I actually think that's healthy. And that's not something that I'm used to at all. All right. So, what does that have to do with me and drinking? Well, if it gets between me and a drink, to alchemize these feelings of anger, self-pity, hatred, and turn it over. When I'm listening to Ezekiel Walker, what I'm grateful for, you know, the best in me, that's a good one too. Affirmations, right? Healthy affirmations. And just understanding I'm not the only one who's ever been through shit. I'm not the only one who's ever going to go through shit. And also, there's shit that, I shouldn't do and shit I shouldn't tolerate. So when it comes back down to, people picking fights or this shit that could erupt into that, we don't got a lot of gun violence around here, but it happens periodically. Do no harm, take no shit. There's certain things that happen in certain cases, even if people are provoking me. If I'm reacting, I'm fucked, right? And I realized that yesterday. I was like, if I have to put myself in a timeout, then I do that. I put myself in a timeout, especially if I'm getting a shart. I had like one wet shart. I was so lucky. I was like, oh my God, don't eat any meat this week. Honest to God. They say it's from the vegetables, but anyways, I didn't go through what other people went. Like I didn't throw up. I had like the smallest of almost shart. It was like a little bit wet on my butt. Not even, but it was all water. I was like, I hope it isn't a fissure. Where my pee becomes poo, my poo becomes pee. So anyways, where are we here? Okay, hold on a second. I just want to read this one line because I was thinking about this, having that psychic change and also thinking in those terms too of how am I changing? How am I applying my recovery and the things I've learned in recovery to these situations, these challenges daily? Because I probably get about a 50%, when I do it, right now. But when I actively do it, when I'm actively consciously relying on that, and when I use the oil like a medication, okay, and spirituality is a medication too, okay, so Christ consciousness. I don't want to worry about institutions. I don't got to fight about the Catholic Church and what the fucking shit they did and colonialism. We all know. But I do need to stay right in here. This is they say it's a dangerous place to live. Yeah, it is. And it doesn't matter where we go. And we take this with us and we don't change this, right? So having to kind of process that, alchemize those awful feelings and then get back to living. Get busy living or get busy dying, right? Where are we? We bathe, we dress more appropriately. Oh, let me start at the beginning because I really like this reading today. So this is July 14th, an inside job. Social acceptability does not equal recovery, basic text, page 22. One of the first things that happens to many of us in recovery is that we start to look better. We get healthier, we bathe, we dress more appropriately, and without the goading of active addiction, many of us finally stop stealing, lying, hustling. We start to look normal just by removing the drugs. Looking normal is very different from being normal. Acceptability in the eyes of the world is a benefit of recovery. It is not the same thing as recovery. We can enjoy the benefits of recovery, but we must take care to nurture their true source. Lasting recovery isn't found in acceptance from others, but in the inner growth set in motion by the 12 steps. Just for today, I know that looking good isn't enough. Lasting recovery is an inside job. Okay. So I'm And for me, this is probably one of the best makeovers I've ever had. And it's one of the most important makeovers that I'll ever have. I'm going to go gray. My body is falling apart. There is nothing I can do about aging. I can slow it down, the rotting process. But I'm rotting, right? That's it. I'm going to rot to death eventually. But it does slow it down, okay? But the most important thing that I'm working out, even though it's great to get into my abs, it's great to do face exercises, work on my chest. This is the muscle I gotta work on the most, regardless of what I do. And I know for a lot of people, they say, if you go off script, but you're not going to take your prescription trank dope, you might as well just throw in the towel, take the prescription trank dope and drink. I don't think you throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think you try as hard as you can for as long as you can. You give it your all. You know, not just E for effort. You get an A+ for effort, and you just do what you can in these situations. And yeah, you know, I can't expect any reward. But will the universe reward me in different ways? Yeah, of course it will. You know, if I just do my best, right? I got another 24 hours of having to stay segregated from regular population, not just because I was fucking getting antsy and nasty, but also because, yeah, my tummy is acting up doing shit. My tummy's doing shit, but it's actually not that bad. I'm not going through what other people are doing. I don't know if it's norovirus or psycho blah 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 blah. The sharts, the shits, the shart shits, the trots. Everyone's like, oh, fuck. How did you give America the trots? Trots to America. Don't scream death to America. Scream trots to America. I'm part American, so I got them too. The bioweapon was deployed. It was a Barfarama. I haven't seen that movie. That was like my favorite scene in Stand By Me, the fucking Barfarama. That was hilarious. All right, just for today. Okay, I know that looking good isn't enough. Lasting recovery is an inside job. So, when I do get resentful about anything, when I get triggered about anything, you know, realizing and trying to go to, this is an opportunity for growth. And I can just float right the fuck through this shit if I want to. And yes, if I really have to fight, I can. But I'm gonna let homie fucking deal with this shit. I'm not gonna... Nothing. I'm going to literally turn the other cheek. I got good peripheral vision. You know, if he's gonna hit me, he's gonna hit me. And I don't like that, right? I don't like being in situations like that. I don't want to be in a boys don't cry situation. And especially if I'm not trans, it's not fair, right? Especially with all the shit I've been through with Chris Corda. But you know, I don't even want to get into that anymore, right? I literally want to give my mind a break. And in a sense where I'm not focusing so much on all the horrible shit that people do, you know. Pause, pray, proceed. Okay. If I have to block someone who has violated privacy time and again and has an issue, I do it. And I don't, that's it. We're done. You keep showing me who you are. I don't care what's coming out of your mouth or the agenda if you're lying. That's it. We done. And I don't go past that. I'm not coming after people. I'm not on a vengeance mission. But, you know, if people ultimately profited from my lack of boundaries and they're going to have an issue over it, be mindful if I'm in a place that's unsupportive and actually favors predators and will protect them, you know, at the cost of victims, no matter, and even feed the victims up to predators. Be very mindful of that, you know. So before I diagnose myself with depression, right, and put myself in a fucking coma where this child has nowhere to run to, like literally no one on their side, no witnesses, you know, because they're either dead or fucking comatose dying from the guinea pig fucking psychiatric oubliette. Playtime will never be the same again. You disgusting fuck you. Don't say that. Don't say that and expect people to respect you. Please don't. You know, or at least apologize. Being mindful that that's still the world we live in. And that's still, you know, some people escape that because they have protection, you know, and some people don't. Some people get destroyed by it, and I have been all but destroyed by it, you know, so that. I haven't updated links. I haven't checked out homework too much. I have been trying to kind of keep on that humility thing, but I have been mainly doing the Snoop Dogg program where I take my oil and, you know, so, you know, when you give me my crown, because I'm feeling it now, it's not so much about feeling high as it is about feeling relief. And when I feel that relief come in that wave, I try to think in things like Christ consciousness. And I literally try to pray and turn it over to the idea of what Christ stood for and what, you know, those concepts that Snoop is talking about. Okay. And also, yeah, you know, I can't worship Snoop like a fucking god. Wow, 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 yippee, yippee. But I can definitely get that good orderly direction. I can have respect for that good orderly direction. I know that works. I know that works. I've always known that works. Why am I not doing that? I really care about my life. It's suicidal to not, right? And to not think about having integrity, right? And wanting to, you know, wanting peace more than wanting to be right. You know, you can sit there surrounded by a bunch of fucking dancing girls. You can be an ex-pimp. You don't have to fucking be a pedophile. You can be surrounded by shit. Because I've been around people who've been surrounded by shit, who don't run around fucking acting out. They don't run around picking fights. They don't run around diddling people's kids. And they're fucking surrounded by weapons and fucking, you know, sex offenders day and night. How do they do it? You learn to take responsibility for yourself. You learn to take responsibility for your mind, your body, and your spirit. You're not judging other people, but you are using your discernment. You know, when we do, we get pulled into these things and we get beaten by the experience of the people who are more experienced in these things. And we all have things that we're into. We all have stuff. We all have problems. I'm not excusing it, right? Because at the same time, you know, I'm going through the pain that I'm going through. And then, of course, watching this kid get held hostage in this pedophile ring is enraging. It's nothing short of a fucking war crime, you know, and it does make me think that, you know, is he safer behind what you would call enemy lines? You know, because Zion is running after mixed race babies so fucking much right now. And this is a thing. This has been a thing for a while. It's not just, you know, it's not just one race. We think only white people can be racist. This is not true. This is so far from fucking true. It's racist to think that other races can't be racist. You know, so, you know, my safer. Yeah, you know, unfortunately, I am, but he's not, because Toronto is ruled by Zion, right? And, you know, so I'm safer, but he's not, you know, so, you know, that's sad for me. It's sad for me to have come from the history that I've come from. And some of the stuff I remember or don't, people I've been exposed to. Again, I don't know what's an implanted memory and what's real. You know, I'm still trying to discern that. But at the same time, you know, it's difficult when I go, oh yeah, no, there's no way in hell I can fucking trust Mossad. And yet, you know, I don't hate Jews because of my experience growing up with people who were descended of camps, because that was, it was such a, and they wouldn't, you know, you could tell a difference between a Jew and a native in Toronto. But when, you know, they talk trauma, right, especially in the 80s, you know, especially in the artist community, yeah, you know, that's, the trauma is very similar, the way it manifested in people's families and people's personal lives, and the way people treated addiction, alcoholism, etc. So yeah. Oh, what am I got here? But I do. I feel. I'm at 96. Those are 96, right? To spend too much time on any one situation is to deny another alcoholic an opportunity to live and to be happy. One of our fellowship failed entirely with his first half dozen prospects. He often says that if he had continued to work on them, he might have deprived many others who have recovered of their chance. Sense. Okay. Yeah. And applying that, you know, to my daily life, right? Like, if people don't want what I have, let it go. Let God, you know, live, let live, that kind of stuff. And if they do, you know, do what I can, within reason, right? Within reason. What else I gotta say? I don't know. Where are we going here? We're going, boo. Oh man, that's enraging. Tyler Boo. I did not know that guy was Tyler Boo. So my favorite movie when I was working in East Hastings at the Drake in 2001 was Fight Club. And of course, Benicio del Toro was my favorite actor back then. I don't think he likes me. I think he heard that, and I think he was kind of like, "Oh God, I hate this bitch." So, okay, that's all right. I can take a hint. Yeah, probably got too old. Um, they don't get too old or too fat, but we do. So, anyways, obnoxious. Anyways, I don't want to be ripping on someone I don't know. I don't have all the facts about. They talk about hitting people on the flank instead of running up on people and trying to force recovery on people, actually approaching people from the flank and from the side, if they want it. It's attraction, not promotion. And I'm trying to apply that in my daily life and all things as much as humanly possible. I don't know how well I'm doing. If I could grade myself at the end of the day, that would be great. Optimally, I'd be working with a sponsor right now. But after having to medicate pain from damage I received in the rooms on behalf of more pedophiles who've been making my life hell since I was in single digits, like doing horrible things to me, and another head injury, and more miscarriage jokes, and just like honestly, what you guys need is a fucking Kuklinski fuck bag with his face on it, and then you need to put a wig on it. Some of you are too sick for fucking words. That was part of like why we got the doll brothel in Toronto, and it has since deceased. And I'm watching my nephew go through what he's going through. I don't like it at all, and I don't think it's okay. I don't think he's in training for kung fu. I think what you have easily in the West End alone 1,000 MKs set to be destroyed before the age of 30 who are going through horrible fucking torture so that they can show up as sex toys and soldiers for mercenaries, whatever mercenaries entered the fucking city. And I think it's a big waste. Just like you wasted my body, babies don't grow on trees, neither does human fucking life. And I don't think you waste their potential like that. So I made up a program yesterday. It was called Operation Boomerang. It was about getting children out. We need about, we had 1,000 kids, then we need about 500 fucking wagons, and rerouting them from the States, like making a big stink about taking them across the States and running them into the other side of the border, and then quietly coming back. Making a big stink, because it should be made into a big stink. If those girls I was in the shelter with in Ottawa, if their parents from Djibouti put them on a plane because they were over the age of 18, but they didn't want rebel forces raping them and destroying their virtue, and would actually stand witness to a Native girl or a girl who was non-blood quantum in the shelter who was raped. Okay? And this happens, right? You have people who are trans who really need to be in those shelters, and then you have predators. And they're child predators. They don't care. They do not care at all. But if those parents felt that integrity was so important to be that consistent with protecting their children, why are we not protecting toddlers and 4-year-olds and giving them a future or a chance at a future? Like, fucking come on. Don't ever try to make it into a morality play when it's a domination play. Not when I have a basis of comparison like that. And I have thousands of those because I grew up in Toronto and I grew up with people like that. So shut the fuck up when you start with your bullshit. Yeah, bringing them back and putting them in like Navy fucking military island or something to be safer at the border, helping out here. But would you want them fighting fucking Bishnoi to dump drugs in America because everyone hates America? No, I don't. I would train my child to protect what they can. But when it comes to like moving out on another person's fucking territory on shit like that, no, I don't want them dying. Not when there's poison everywhere, I'd want them to stay the fuck out of that shit, But would I want them to have quality of life and extend their life expectancy? Yeah, and preferably not even have to engage any of that bullshit. It's hard to believe there's people out there who actually live their lives like that, abuse-free, or fight to live abuse-free. But it's a reality and it happens. And there's a difference in the mental health of people who actually do erect and maintain healthy boundaries for the right reasons with integrity. It's just a thing, and it's a very important thing too. So it's not a lesson that I take lightly. You know, when I was living with those girls and I was shoved into Djibouti corner, they always do this with me. They always put me with the black girls. I always get put with the black or the native girls. I rarely get put with the white girls, but the white girls there were kind of like, yeah, you know, there's like a takeover. And at first I didn't see that. And now I kind of see why Justin let in a whole bunch of other people, so that people who would come up against him would immediately look racist, you know, when we tried to say something. But really what it was it was bringing in newcomers who had very little idea of the situation they were coming into, because they were fleeing something like a war or a famine, you know, or a disease or something horrible. And, you know, they had to be considerate that locals were going to be hostile because we're being pitted against each other. You know, so also knowing that, you know, divide and conquer tactics are a thing, and that they work for the most part. Again, I was triggered over something. You know, I was so easily triggered the other day. It was unbelievable. You know, you'd think I was getting my fucking period. Anyways, I went to the not dollar store, I was at Healthy Planet, and I was so lucky. Someone actually took my American money. They didn't even take my American money, because they don't take American money some places here. American money is being like phased out. People are really fucking mad at America. Like, they're fucking mad. Like, America's about to get fucking canceled, America, which is horrible. I think, you know, and I think the vets should start a party here and there, and they should take over. I think everyone else keeps their job and they just temporarily take over, because these guys have never had to go through the shit they're asking other citizens to do. Are they actually making demands that we do? And they're paying themselves, you know, a lot of money to do that, to fucking violate us or kick us in the fucking genocide and make us into an issue. You know, but otherwise, like, actively fucking going to war or inciting a coup, you know, or also, you know, fucking risking a treason charge myself, I'm not interested. But yeah, I mean, most of these leaders could go down for treason a million fucking times over. Even local politicians everywhere, like most citizens, multiple charges of fucking treason, if we actually gave a shit about that. I don't know, I was gonna say something. I forgot. I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna move on. Swiftly moving along. Okay, resentful, selfish. So I gotta remember to do a gratitude list. So Grateful by Ezekiel Walker is something that's just helping remind me of that. I'm dishonest, not to my knowledge, afraid. Okay, so he favored me. I try to think of all the good values in that song by Ezekiel Walker. The best in me, I think it is. I have to listen to that song again, because every time I'm having like some serious, dark, depressive, or angry, triggering moments, these songs are coming on, and it's better than what's happening in my mind. Even if I'm right, I can't fight everyone and everything. I have to cease doing that. And there is a difference between humility and humiliation, and humility doesn't necessarily mean reacting. It, you know, as a matter of fact, reactive abuse is bad all around. But if I'm in a situation where people are being abusive, the most important thing I can do is just leave. If I can't confront it, I can't cure it, I can't control it, and I didn't cause it, my best bet is to leave. So when people force me to stay and apologize to abusers and beg to take more abuse, right, that's fucked up. Right? And that needs to fucking change. So, you know, again, I don't want to get into shit with the cops. You know, I thought shit was going to start the other day. I felt like I had to advocate for 2 female cops who were really cool to me. They let me off with a slap in the hand. They weren't, when was it? It's a couple of years ago when I was really sick and I had this infection going into my brain. And, I was doing illegal dumping. So I was freezing my compost, and then I was biking it down to the water, and I was dumping it down the ravine. Now, some people may say that's completely fucking harmless, but it wasn't. It was like ice buckets worth of compost, and there's wildlife down there, right? And you could hear them running as they heard this huge ice thing going down the hill, and I felt bad about it, but I was like, I have to dump it. Like, I have to do something, right? I don't want to keep it in the freezer, but I also don't want to put it in the, I don't want to put it in the trash. This is good compost. This helps contribute to the wildlife. Once the sun thaws, they're going to have shit to eat. You know, once the sun thaws, you know, whatever does decompose into the earth, it's going to look great. You know, that, as far as like foliage goes and flora and fauna, right? Like I'm feeding the planet. It's good. This needs to be done. It has to be done, you know. But two cops stopped me, two female cops, and they were right. And they were going to write me a ticket. And they did write me a ticket, but they let me off the ticket with a warning, which was so cool because I didn't have the money back then. Some outlaw biker, you know, with his Fu Manchu was driving by. I know gossip. I knew. Yes, I know. You're a pedophile who runs around like SS fucking pedophiles, micromanaging all of us and using intimidation tactics. And they felt bad for me. They could tell right away I was getting worked over again at my age and how disgusting it was. You could tell by the looks on their faces. Maybe I was projecting. I don't know. But I felt bad. I was like, yeah, if shit hits the fan tomorrow, because people have been actively working online, regardless of what I've been doing. I've been fighting against this. I've been doing my all. I don't give myself E for effort with not wanting to fight the cops after they picked a fight. I give myself a fucking A++. That's my grade I give myself right now for not fighting cops who actually picked a fight, because they did shit to me they wouldn't do to other people, including and especially Olivier. You know, so it's amazing to me, you know, how disposable I am and how easy it is for people to get away with murder. But ultimately, if I'm in an abusive situation that I didn't cause, I can't confront, I can't cure, and I can't control, it's time to leave, right? It's time to look for another place, somewhere else. I like the idea of Welland, but again, there's so many pedophiles there. If a kid comes running, I can't be beholden to guys who want me, you know, stuck on the internet with them, okay, whose wives have left, taken the children, who want to have sex with a bigger girl, wearing a wig that, you know, who naturally has hair that looks like their kid. I just can't keep doing this and expecting different results. If insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results, appealing to pedophiles who are putting me online and saying this is by choice, when we all know it's not. We all know there's a lot of coercive control and a lot of massive fucking threats coming out of this, and that there's a lot of pain still that I'm still processing. No, it's bad. You know that's bad. You know it's fucking wrong. You know the situation. You know the scenario. You know what you're doing is, you know you're provoking. You know you're picking fights. You know you're being antagonistic, right? But to do it anyways, and to think of all the people who got in on this stuff, you know, that poor kid, like poor Amanda, when I see the people just openly confessing what pieces of shit they are, and I'm only in Niagara Falls, I'm not even in BC, my heart goes out. And oddly, I start to develop compassion for myself and what my experience was too. I don't even understand how I survived, other than I had the gay mafia on my side. And it was unfortunate that I had predators like Chris Corda at me. And some of them are really evil. Like, watch the fuck out. Some are really amazing. And they trained me to survive. So lucky me. I am an honorary man in many ways. I just don't like being a eunuch. All right, let's wrap this up. Do we have an apology? Yeah, no, I'm sorry if you need it, but also I can't be servile scraping. You know, I can't keep treating people, you know, who have personality disorders or abuse issues. I can't keep enabling that behavior and treat them like they're God. So I can be polite. I don't have to run up on them and call them out. I don't have to make shit up. Okay. And it is difficult for me because I've watched just as many politicians and crooked chiefs take money and look the other way. You know, and as far as victims go, you know, there isn't a lot around victim services. And when things get cut, there's even less, right? So yeah, no wonder perpetrators run and rule everything, especially if Doug Ford's going to cut victim services and give it to Grimes. Like, he's making an overture there. It's a symbol. It's not just money, it's a symbol. You know, and of course you need the money because it's life and death. That's even worse. You know, getting into reactive abuse with people who are going to rip you off and do the same thing again. You know, you have to put up a boundary with those people. And you have to start putting your foot down and saying, I would not do that to you. I would not take from you something you need. you know, especially when I don't need it, right? You have to think of people who steal something not because they need it, but because they don't want you to have it. And then, you know, I had to get to a point in my life where I realized those are bad people. Even if they have all the money to rewrite the narrative. Those are actually fundamentally sick individuals, right? Just we're sick as our secrets, and that's sick, sick, sick shit. Don't go with it, you know. And I don't have to run around airing out all my dirty laundry, but also, you know, I'm not laundering people's karma. That they're on their own with that. They're gonna have to launder their own karma, you know. And sometimes the best way to do it is just deal with it. I would preferably have Miss Junkie Nurse fucking charged, but it's become such a huge joke, and absolutely joking about raping him, joking about making sure I can't have kids. I had no places for me to work but on the hill, where while families go by, you know, I don't want to be Marianne Faith while I sit and watch his tears go by, but I think, what kind of Prixius Maximus would do that? Like you literally, and when you see like what a fucking Wookiee I look like compared to the land of the Ewoks, you know right away, like it's really obvious, a bunch of little pricks or a bunch of bullies, and it's inside the PD, it's politicians, it's locals, left and right, it's everywhere, right? So really seeing that for what that is, and knowing that that's unhealthy and I should get away from that, because that's the kind of stuff that got me a head injury when I was a child, when I was 8 years old. That's the kind of stuff that got me gang raped. That's the kind of stuff that people were singing songs about when I got, you know, genitally mutilated or when I got hobbled, right? I didn't need to get hobbled because I was a contender for Black Swan, because I wasn't, okay? So hobbling me, you know, I really want pedophiles in the movie, the film and music industry who are into this Natalie Portman gossip to really think that if they can't think about my safety or a treason charge at the very least, or a murder charge, attempted murder, or a pedophilia charge, think about you might be ruining her career. Yeah, because it's just a bad fucking look, okay? So think in that case, if you really give a shit about her, and you give a shit about her name, or you give a shit about any of these people that you are goofing on, coming near me and picking fights with me is actually bad for their career. It's a bad fucking look. Please don't do it. And that's all I really have left to say. I've been putting condoms on the door. I think it's funny that I manage to put a condom on it every single time, and they're very offended. But they can't put a condom on it every single time. Even when it's premeditated rape. Where am I? Oh, I'm on page 90. What happened? Get the idea of his behavior, his problem, his background, his seriousness of his condition, and his religious leanings. You need this information to put yourself in his place to see how you would like him to approach you if the tables were turned. I always think about that now since I started taking the oil, and it's good for me to have that compassion, because I was in a very sick, unsafe, mentally unhealthy pink cloud for a long time. And sometimes pink clouds are good, but sometimes there comes a point where they have to dissipate and things have to become clear, you know, in order for us to deal with it. So it's not how I want it, it's how it is. But also, I can't deal with a problem if I'm not honest. I can't deal with creating a solution for a problem or finding a solution for a problem if I'm not honest about it and what the problem is. As honest as I can be. I don't have to be servile scraping. I don't have to run up on people and accuse them of shit they did or didn't do. I don't have to get into any of that, right? I don't have to get into humiliation games, none of that shit. I just gotta be me and do the next right thing. But, you know, ultimately, if I'm not actively using the tools in the program, I'm running on this, you know, the ego of edging God out, good orderly direction. I have a lot of problems with God and Jesus and the institution of Jesus right now, for obvious fucking reasons, like corrupt pedophile fucking reasons, corrupt kitty killer fucking reasons. These are legit reasons to be upset with and angry with the institution of God and to want to stay as far the fuck away as humanly possible. Okay? It's legit, right? But I still need help, right? I still need to manage this. And there's shit that I do like about people who worship Jesus. Sometimes it's not even the biblical Jesus. Sometimes there's people I learn from who love Jesus, who, and through their filter and through their eyes and how they see Jesus. I knew this one woman in a shelter She was like an ex-crack addict. She would smoke every morning. She would talk a little bit about Jesus. That woman was so fucking stable in the most unstable places, right? And in the most unstable downtown Toronto shelter. That woman was such a fucking survivor. She was older, she was Jamaican, and she was just gonna get through shit. And that's exactly what she fucking did, you know? And she didn't want to take pain meds either. Just right. Right? And I've been watching people do this for years, alternative medicine, not just with marijuana, with supplements, with how we work our lives, how we work our bodies. And it's a luxury problem when I can actually get back into my abs and make them so strong that I'm fixing my lower back. That's fucking amazing shit to me. That is so lucky, right? So trying to, you know, focus on my blessings and not get too caught up in anything else. You know, the rest is just negative talk. You know, what can I do with it? I don't know. You know, I don't know if I could actually go to LA and work in a shelter or doing outreach at this point. You know, what can I do? You know, where can I go? Where am I wanted? Where am I needed? And where am I happiest? I do need people. It's just that I don't need that shit. That's what it comes down to, and I can't keep enabling it. You know, and if kindness is seen as weakness and forgiveness is seen as permission slip, then I've got to stop enabling it. If I really give a fuck about my amends to society and to my motherfucking self, I actually care about my program. Ironic, isn't it? Let me finish up here. All right, and then I gotta go do my stuff. But I thought it would be good to do a little update. You know, I'm gonna get in trouble because people don't like it when I talk. I've been pursued some really seriously fucked up stalking here, but I've been pursued by stalkers since I was a child. Like, I was never allowed to confront any of this shit ever. Like, fucking, and people were doing like ecosystem management that was fucking crazy, and that should be tried in a court of law. It's just disgusting shit to me, to my body, and just managing my fucking ecosystem, and it is disgusting, but I can't go there, you know. And again, I can't cause it. I didn't cause it. I can't cure it. I can't control it, and there's nothing I can do about it. I gotta let it go, right? I gotta alchemize it, let it go, adapt, and bring on the new reality, right? Bring it on. Not reality tunnel, but sometimes if I'm going into a reality tunnel that's going to protect me and others, yeah, go there. Go there if I need to go there, right? But don't get too cracked out on it, whether that's a substance or, you know, a mode of thinking, right? A modus operandi. An apology. All right, I think I said that. If you need it, let me know. I become someone ourselves should discuss with another person at once. No, we're kind of lovely toward all. I'm all right. We've done better. No, I just woke up. I finished my coffee. I got this anti-dairy creamer, non-dairy creamer. It's so good. It's silk. It's vanilla oat. It's so yum. We're kind of loving toward all. No. No, I wake up just like motherfucker. But I have to alchemize that. You know, I gotta fix my attitude. I gotta check myself before I wreck myself, before I go at that door. And today I'm in containment. I'm in Andromeda strain for the sharts. They all got the fucking charts. You sharters. You farty McFarters here. A couple of minutes I'll discuss. No, we're kind of loving it all. No, but I'm going to work on it. We have done better. I'm going to apply good orderly direction, and of course turning off the phone, it's a good one too. Literally shutting the fucking phone off. If I don't need to make a phone call, the phone shouldn't be on, you know. And as I've been doing that and removing it from wearing it in my chest, these are dissolving as I do, you know, my tapping work and my massage work, and then, you know, using diet and exercise to decrease my lumps. If I have the luxury of being able to work on that and do a full body reset, I'm still older. I still got damage, but man, am I going to look and feel better. You know, it's nice that spa treatments exist. It's nice that surgery and cosmetic surgery exists, and I definitely think about it. And you know, I had my lips done. I got like half a fucking syringe. Oh shit, I hope that's still going. 2 years ago, I think, or maybe it was last year, I don't know. I did like hyaluronic acid. It was interesting, it was different. The main thing I was happy for was that I went somewhere and I did something, you know. But ultimately I would just do a fat transfer. If I had the money, I would just get a fat transfer. I'd literally have the fat transferred from my fucking stomach into my ass and my face. No contest. That's, if I was gonna have work done, that's the first thing I would do. But being able to reset my body, to do a cleanse, you know, I'm not 27 again. I'm not even 20 again. But to actually take such good care of myself that I look and feel a lot better for my age is a luxury problem. And it's also a gift of recovery. You know, if I want to apply myself and I want to apply the tools that I've learned to my personal life, including like my yoga practice or my lifestyle, you know, these alternative medicines and methods do work if we work them, you know. Same with stuff in here, right? So I try not to fuck with the script too much, but I'd rather take more oil than go and ask for an opioid, you know. And I'm still waiting on hearing back about an x-ray for my knee, so, you know, la-di-da. Yeah, I need to actually be able to do yoga. Like, I need to be able to physically function, you know. So when people are taking money to have my body fucked up, yeah, it's just a bad look. And when people are, you know, this is something people don't understand about an intranet. Okay, so like Ocean, for example, which is a medical intranet service that people are using online. I'm gonna tell you a little bit of shit I know. When you access your Facebook, if you access Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, whatever the fuck you're talking on, while you're on Ocean or Ocean is open, it's not that that app can be compromised. Your whole device can be hacked. And through your Facebook, let's say, or any other of these apps, all your devices can be hacked. Okay? So when you're talking shit and taking money for fucking perverts in New York who are kitty rapers, and you're going after their victims, shut the fuck up already. Just do your fucking job and shut the fuck up. Don't get in on it. Okay, and for those who had integrity, thank you. Those who don't, just shut the fuck up. Stay out of, if someone says stay the fuck away from them because you're harassing them like a fucking Nurse Ratchet crazy shit, fucking do it. Okay? Just don't, you know. Have something yourself should discuss with another person at once. Kind of language at all. When you're this close to Canadian Border Services and the Department of Homeland Security, don't be an idiot. But ultimately you're going to be. Don't blame me. I warned you. Get out of my face. I told you so. And for those who don't, thank you. Kind of language at all. No, but I'm going to work on it. What we think of ourselves. Yeah. What could we have done better? Yeah, you know, I just have to learn to just deal with it, right? There's a lot of people who have a lot of issues right now. They ultimately didn't want me to meet with my mom. You know, a lot of these Sikh people in the Sikh community were following me around for years. They wanted to watch me get tortured and exploited. And they even wanted to watch Kate take my place because they were that fucking hateful and malicious. And I forgive it, but I'm not continuing on with it. I'm not carrying on with it. And I do belong living with Indians. I just don't belong with ones that fucking treat me like shit. And that's it. You know, and I don't deserve to treat other people like shit. And I don't deserve to be treated like shit. Especially over shit that's not your business. And you started this shit. So you have no right to tell me. It's just a dominance game. You're just using people, misusing your powers at that point to come at me. You're not actually doing anything. And I am ultimately sick of everyone wanting to pick a fight with me because he walked into my ballet class when I was 13. And I've still never been in a dojo, right? Like, it's actually very stressful for me and for my body to be surrounded by a bunch of fucking small dick, piece of shit, pedophile motherfuckers, 8 fucking kids with their wife, treating her like fucking shit in front of everyone. That was a flare. Like, if that girl has not had a kid with that man yet, that's a flare to go find someone else who can be a man around her fucking kid. Because he's ultimately going to triangulate her against the children, sexually, and anyone else. if he's that easily fucking triggered. And it's unfortunate there's people in the NDP like that, but that's why I don't go back, because there was such protection of predators. But honestly, it's in the right, it's in the left, it's everywhere. There's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide, right? Unless we actually get like a veteran affairs or veteran services party, you know, who are sworn to protect everyone of every party, because they're made up of people who think left and right, which would be fucking cool. Let's face it. Like if we had an actual military party that observes left and right, that would be so fucking cool. It would be the best. That would be like a people's party for sure, which is kind of weird. That's so communist and fascist at the same time. But that's like the good part of it. I'm going on an hour now talking. I can't believe I talk that much. I'm talking and I can't shut up. I'm so happy. I love talking. Talking's fun. But ultimately I have to wrap it up. Okay. We're kind of living toward all. Okay, I'm going to work on that today. What could we have done better? Yeah, live and let live, right? If I have to put up boundaries, I have to observe shit as it is, not as I want it to be. And that's important. Ultimately, I don't know where I'm going with this, but you know, I don't expect to be center stage, not at this stage, not at this point, not with all this shit train following me. But yeah, if I stay with the do no harm, take no shit, it's amazing how well I can do just on that being my mantra. And that's been my mantra more than ever. That became my mantra-ish, I guess, in my second or third year. And that's really like, I'm really hanging on to that right now. We're thinking of ourselves most of the time. No. We're thinking of what we could do for others back in the stream of life. Yes. Yes. But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, and morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. All right. So, you know, that's it, right? We're all in a pressure cooker. We've all been shoved to the edge of the fucking border. Humanity's toilet bowl. You know, I didn't think about it in Prometheus, you know, and I didn't think Ridley Scott felt that way, because I thought he was a little bit on the racist side. Like he preferred white people, you know, to the point where like if an engineer sacrificed himself, it would be in like, you know, the world's toilet bowl, which is Niagara Falls, which is gorgeous. Let's face it. If you're going to go in a toilet bowl, the most gorgeous toilet bowl in the world is in fact here. And I prefer it over the pyramids of Giza, but I'd like to see the pyramids just one time. But anyways, yeah, you know, when I said human shit in the toilet bowl, because everyone wants me to kill myself. And I'm like, why don't you go kill yourself? That becomes like Indians in a toilet bowl. And then there's white turds in a toilet bowl. It's just the jokes, I guess you had to be there. They were funnier in my mind. Or when you were there. Never mind. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. Shit's inappropriate. And I'm getting inappropriate again. So I'm going to go right-size myself. I got to clean up. I got to exercise. I got to do shit around here. Ultimately, doing the home treatments with the heat has been very good for bed bugs. I don't know if it's eradicating everything, but I'm still going to Goals hairdryer and do heat spot treatments, as well as spraying the oregano oil, jacking up the heat at night after peak hours are off on my bill, and just killing what's left in here, and making a nightly practice and doing some yoga, right? I can do some hot yoga while I'm at it, and getting a waistline back. How cool is that? I didn't think I'd do that. I didn't think I'd do that again, so that's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to take back my body, right? Like it feels good. It feels really good. Oh god, I swear to gas. I had a big fart. What were we doing? Wait. Okay. We're thinking what we could do for ourselves. Okay, we're thinking of ourselves most of the time. We're thinking what we could do for others back in the stream of life. All right, yes, I was. And I'm gonna try and think more of others than myself and my little plans, my little designs today. But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. I feel very lucky ultimately to be able to do the things I do daily. You know, even though it is difficult sometimes to like cart around beads and sell, you know, here or there, depending on where the cops will allow me to be. You know, and I said the other day when they had me move, I was like, yeah, if I had the money to leave, buddy, I would leave. Like, I really feel held hostage, you know, because half of you want me in horse school, the other half of you want me to fucking kill myself, and you don't even know the scenario, you don't even know the situation, how fucking bad this is. And then the rest of you who went online and picked a fight with Antifa and literally all but invited them here to come here and fight you, while you used me as a human shield, as protection, and as an excuse to invite them here as bait. Yeah, I'm kind of sitting here going, I don't know what to do. Oh, and then I outed my ex-boyfriend who had them all hide in the fucking catacombs in Paris. Dipshit. What are all these skulls doing here? I see, like, weapons leaving on a fucking boat from the fucking St. Lawrence the very same week you guys are hiding in the fucking catacombs during the fucking Mayday fucking riots, and I'm just shaking my head. I'm gonna get in shit for this. But ultimately, I give a shit. I'm not even gonna lie about it. Fucking rat face over here. But anyways, if it goes off, yeah, just watch for those 2 female cops. They're really sweet. Or maybe they'll come fight with us. I don't know if you can do that. Like, can you legally do that if you actually oppose corruption in the force? And people have been invited to go fight against the force. Can cops switch sides for the day and go fight all their coworkers that they fucking hate with Indian? I didn't cause it. I can't cure it, and I can't control it. And I'm trying to run away, but people are holding me hostage in it. I'm not that vain that I need that, like, torture porn. Look at me, right? Yeah, I like to fake in front, but I don't know. Do I want to get burned alive? I'm thinking of a Kevlar suit. I love fire, but I don't like getting burned alive. I don't like it when it's burning me. Careful when you wield something like that, because it can get out of control real fast, right? And that's essentially what happened. When it's not so much about being a Karen and wagging my finger. You kids don't fucking do that shit. Sweeping the sidewalk, with threatening with my fucking broom, right? I miss that. I miss those old Greek and Ukrainian Polish ladies who used to do that shit. That was so cute. They keep everyone in line. That was the original neighborhood watch, right? It's not about being didactic. It's not about moralizing or coming from some moral, spiritual hilltop, or taking moral high ground, or using fake morality to fucking make people feel like shit. Although sometimes it would feel good to make people feel like shit. But that's edging God out, right? That's using my ego. That's coming from ego instead of, good orderly direction, right? So, we maintain cohesion within a society when we all kind of try to work together for a common good, and we actually believe in each other, and we believe in our capacity, to be consistent, to be congruent, and loyalty is a two-way street. Following laws, rules, that's a two-way street too. Having respect for ourselves and others, that's a two-way street, but it doesn't have to be contingent on what the other person is doing. The other person's going to abuse that. You have to remove yourself from the situation if you can't confront it and get them to change. And ultimately, if they just want a confrontation because they want reactive abuse from gaslighting, you have to cut your losses at that point and say, this is a waste of time, and this is causing more damage than it's helping repair. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. That's my de-escalation the AA way.